This is Strategist, and in this video, I'm going to be talking about my top 3 sidearms for the Crucible. Now, for those of you that have been stuck under a rock and haven't been playing the Crucible as of late, the one thing you'll know is that sidearms have become the most popular special option now because of the restriction to the special ammo economy. Simply put, if you have special ammo and you die, you're losing it. And the only way to recover it is with something like Icebreaker or the Invective, or just by picking up a special crate. And for that very reason, sidearms have become a very, very prevalent option in the Crucible. Now, when it comes to my particular weapons of choice, it will be probably a little bit different from what you commonly see being shown on, various Destiny-related sites, but nonetheless, it's my personal preference. And I'll be the first one to say that despite the fact I'm a statistics man, the statistics for these particular weapons aren't always accurate, and therefore it may lead you to believe otherwise, meaning that they may not be considered as good of an option as they actually are. But after doing some testing in the Crucible and playing with them for an extended period of time, I could definitely tell you that these 3 options I'm about to recommend for those of you to use, they are very, very effective. Not just in PvP, but in PvE. With that said, my first option when it comes to the Crucible is going to be the Vastine Dynasty, aka the Queen's Choice. Now, for those of you that haven't been around for the long haul, and you haven't been here when the Vastine Dynasty was available, it was a weapon that could be acquired from the Reef. And they've essentially reskinned it ever so slightly and turned it into the Queen's Choice. So those guns are in fact one and the same. So if you don't have a Queen's Choice, the Vastine Dynasty is the exact same thing, but year 1. Now, this weapon, even though it does have travel time, is very effective and very reliable because it's a 15-round magazine, it's incredibly stable, and it has great range. As a matter of fact, when you look at this sidearm, the one thing you're probably going to notice is that it has more range than the majority of other sidearms that you're going to compare it to. And it's very reliable, and it's very stable, and it's very accurate, which is something that I really want when it comes to a sidearm. Because the one thing you'll notice about pretty much all sidearms is that they have a great deal of recoil when compared to some other options. And for that very reason, you may not like them as much as maybe like a slow firing hand cannon, because the recoil may be extremely difficult to manage. But when you utilize this particular weapon, the one thing you'll notice is that it definitely handles better in terms of stability. So it's definitely a reliable option in the Crucible, or even in a PvE game mode of your choice. So the one thing I would definitely recommend, if you're going to be utilizing this, that you pair it with either a reliable scout rifle or perhaps something such as the Universal Remote if you want to go in for a close range build in either the Crucible or in a PvE game mode. And the reason why I suggest that is because the Vastine Dynasty has great range, and since it's a legendary option, you can pair it with a exotic primary. And the Vastine Dynasty, aka the Queen's Choice, is such a reliable option that I can't go into most Crucible matches without it because it is such a great weapon. Now, the next thing on my list is going to be the Iron Wreath, which has been seen for quite some time, but it is an excellent option for those of you that like to have a high magazine capacity sidearm of this rate of fire and impact. And yes, I know that the Wormwood is considered by most to be the best sidearm within that category, but statistics aren't everything. Now, the reason why I say that is because after conducting some extensive tests with the Iron Wreath and the Wormwood, the one thing that I concluded is that the Iron Wreath is the more consistent of the two, which is something I want because I want a more consistent and reliable sidearm. Now, it may lose out a little bit in terms of its range and stability, but like I said before, those statistics aren't everything, meaning that just because the bars say one thing doesn't mean they're actually accurate. An excellent example of this would be the fusion rifles when paired with accelerated coils. Now, I don't know if anybody really remembers this, but back in the day, when you utilize the accelerated coils perk, it wouldn't show you the differences in damage. Simply put, when you would utilize accelerated coils, it would reduce the base damage of your fusion rifle. But the statistics didn't show you that, meaning the stat bars. And now that they do, it gives people a better idea as to how much damage they're dealing, opposed to before when they didn't even tell you you were having reduced damage. Now, the next option in my list is, without a doubt, one of my personal favorites, and that is the Trespasser. And the reason for that is because if you want an extremely stable and reliable option that has good range, then the Trespasser is definitely way to go, because it is a very reliable sidearm. Now, I guess the only downside to the Trespasser is the fact that it is a burst fire weapon, but because of that, it is very stable and very accurate. So it's kind of like a hand cannon mixed with a pulse rifle. But despite that, it's very effective and very accurate, and the most stable option out of all of these weapons. Now, because of that, you're going to be able to land shots very consistently at longer ranges, which means it's going to be a very reliable option in the Crucible. And that's why it's one of my personal favorites. The downside to the weapon, however, is actually not a problem with its base statistics or even its perks. It's mainly due to the fact that the weapon is an exotic and you can't pair it with other options, such as a universal remote or a no land beyond or whatever else you could think of. And because of that, you probably won't see it as often, and people may in fact favor legendary sidearms such as the Wormwood instead. But if you want a very accurate and consistent option that is incredibly stable, then the Trespasser is definitely the way to go, and I would strongly recommend for people that want a very consistent and stable option to utilize this weapon. With that said, what's your thoughts? What's your opinions? What are your favorite 3 sidearms? Let me know below. Until next time, thanks for watching. For more deck reviews, strategy guides, commentaries, and more, stay tuned to this channel.